I'm your host, Sirkin, and welcome to Today in History, the show where we dive into the fascinating stories of the past. Today, we're going to explore a day that changed the course of history, a day that marked the beginning of a new era, and a day that will forever be etched in our collective memory. It's August 11th, and as we journey back in time, you'll discover that this date has been witness to some of the most pivotal moments in human history. Imagine yourself standing in the scorching desert heat, surrounded by nothing but sand and rock. The year is 1929, and you're in the midst of a historic event that will shape the future of a nation. On this day, August 11th, the Babington air crash occurred, but that's not the story we're going to focus on. Instead, we're going to travel back to 1929, when the Graf Zeppelin, a German airship, completed its first ever non-stop transatlantic flight. But that's still not the main event we're going to explore. Our story takes us to the year 1965, when the infamous Watts riots broke out in Los Angeles, California. This is the event that will be the focus of our attention today. The Watts riots were a series of violent confrontations between the Los Angeles Police Department and the African American community in the Watts neighborhood. It was a time of great social unrest, with racial tensions running high and the civil rights movement in full swing. The riots began on August 11, 1965, when a white police officer pulled over a black motorist, Marquette Frye, for reckless driving. The situation quickly escalated, with the police officer arresting Frye and his mother, who had come to the scene to intervene. A crowd of onlookers gathered, and soon, the police were faced with a full-blown riot. The violence that ensued was brutal and devastating. Buildings were set on fire, cars were overturned, and looters ran amok. The police responded with force, using tear gas and batons to try and restore order. But the situation only seemed to get worse, with the rioting spreading to other parts of the city. Over the next 6 days, the Watts riots would claim the lives of 34 people, injure over 1,000, and result in the arrest of more than 3,400. The destruction was catastrophic, with entire city blocks reduced to rubble and ashes. As the riots raged on, the nation watched in horror. The images of burning buildings, looting, and violence were beamed into living rooms across America, leaving many to wonder how such a thing could happen. The Watts riots were a wake-up call, a stark reminder of the deep-seated racial tensions that existed in the United States. They marked a turning point in the civil rights movement, highlighting the need for greater understanding, empathy, and equality. The aftermath of the riots was just as tumultuous. The city of Los Angeles was left to pick up the pieces, with many residents left to wonder if their community would ever be the same. The police department faced intense scrutiny, with many questioning their handling of the situation. The riots also led to a greater awareness of the social and economic issues that had contributed to the unrest. Poverty, lack of education, and limited job opportunities had all played a role in the riots, and it was clear that something needed to be done to address these issues. In the years that followed, the city of Los Angeles implemented a number of reforms aimed at improving relations between the police and the community. The LAPD introduced new training programs, aimed at teaching officers how to handle situations like the one that had sparked the riots. The city also invested in community development programs, aimed at providing jobs, education, and housing to those in need. It was a long and difficult process, but slowly, the city began to heal. As we look back on the Watts riots, it's clear that they were a pivotal moment in American history. They marked a turning point in the civil rights movement, highlighting the need for greater equality and understanding. They also led to important reforms, aimed at addressing the social and economic issues that had contributed to the unrest. But perhaps most importantly, they served as a reminder of the importance of empathy, compassion, and community. In the face of adversity, it's how we respond that truly matters. As we reflect on the events of August 11, 1965, we're reminded that history is not just a series of dates and events, but a complex tapestry of human experiences. It's a story of triumph and tragedy, of hope and despair. And it's a story that continues to shape us today. The Watts riots may have occurred over 50 years ago, but their impact is still felt. They serve as a reminder of the importance of understanding, empathy, and community, and they challenge us to continue working towards a more just and equitable society. As we close this episode of Today in History, I want to leave you with a question. What can we learn from the events of August 11, 1965? How can we apply the lessons of the past to build a better future? These are questions that we'll continue to explore on this show, as we delve into the fascinating stories of history. Thanks for joining me on this journey, and I'll see you next time on Today in History.